How are we doing, guys? Right, to start with, the previous video was a touchy subject, so YouTube will delete messages that they don't think is appropriate for anybody really who's over 18. You put on these videos that it's over 18, but they still think you can't see it because, well, they own the place, so it's up to them, isn't it? Anyway, right, what's wrong with the youth? What's wrong with the kids of today? What's wrong with them? A 16-year-old boy stabbed to death last night. Or stabbed, doesn't say stabbed to death. I'm reading it off a thing because, well, he was 16. He was fatally stabbed, so he was stabbed to death in Southall. Now, I know this is, or generally seen as a black-on-black crime, and you've got to say 85, if not 90%, if not more, of the stabbings in London are black on black. It's just the way it is. It's not a racial thing. It's just the way it is. The problem areas for these kids, or for these people, the majority of the people that live there, the overwhelming majority of the people that live in these areas are coloured. They're black people. So you're going to have black on black crime. Come on, Mitch. And of course we had the fatal stabbing of the 12-year-old girl from Liverpool, Ava White. The guy that was 16-year-old guy was Rishmeet Singh. He was a Sikh, you know, the Sikhs. So he weren't a coloured fella. He weren't out there as you would normally visualise, you know, coloured fellas going out there doing a bit of drugs or whatever. This was a fight. It was a fight, and this guy was stabbed to death. 16 years old. I just want to know what's wrong with the kids. That girl, Ava White in Liverpool, fatally stabbed to death. And they arrested a group of kids. They arrested 4 kids. 4 kids. What's wrong with the kids of today? What's wrong with the kids? I think we're too soft on kids. I think we're too soft. We're namby-pamby about it. I read the report about that young lady, that poor girl from Liverpool who got stabbed by these kids. And part of the report said that the children around them are going to get help. They're all going to get help. Well, the only help they need is to know that this thing ends your life. You don't need a cuddle. You don't need an arm around you to say, oh, you poor thing, you know, cry on me and all this. No. Just tell them straight, this is the consequences of what happens if you take a knife out and you use it. That is all they need to know. They're not scared of prison. They're not scared of the police because the police can't touch them. They're not scared of anything. They're not scared of the schools. They're not scared of their parents. They're not scared of anyone. Well, I think it's time that the kids of today, the children, I mean, don't forget, we're talking about under 18s, talking about 14, sometimes younger as 12, 13, 14, you know. There have been cases of kids of 11. Now, I'm guessing that they're just starting their secondary school. I don't know what year that is, but it's secondary school. These kids need to know that if you go out with a knife and you use it, you're going to get in trouble. You are going to get in trouble. It's not a hobby. Now, I've heard people say it's all about the parents. It's the parents' fault, the way they're brought up. Well, no, it's not about the parents' fault. They blame the fact that the dad's not at home, which there are a large amount of dads that are absent from the kids in London that are committing these crimes. And you hear it on the news, you read it in the newspapers, that a young lad of 11 or 12 was caught riding a scooter at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning when he had an accident, or he was caught up in a gunfire or something like that. Why was that kid, why was that child out at 2 a.m. in the morning? Why? I mean, the parents are on there, and you can understand the parents are going to go through grief. They're going to cry and all that, but then they've got to look at themselves and say, why did I let my son or daughter, why did I let them out or stay out until 1 or 2 in the morning? And it weren't even like a weekend. You say, oh, they're out with their mates for the weekend. It was like a Tuesday or a Friday, a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It weren't like, the weekend. These kids, these kids have got to be taught a lesson. All this nabby-pabby and putting your arm around them and saying that, oh, you poor thing, you must be suffering for all this and all that. No, that obviously isn't working. We need to grab hold of these kids, show them pictures of what the consequences are, show them pictures and say, look, that's what happens if you stab someone. That's what happens if you stab someone. And then take them to a prison, like a proper prison, not a day release luxury convalescence. Take them to a proper prison, put them in a cell overnight and say, like, this is it. I'll let you out for an hour in the morning. You're back in here then for the rest of the day. See how you get on. We've got to be tough on these kids. When I'm going to do it, I'm going to say it, when I was a kid, but when I was a kid, I mean, nowadays, right, you get caught fighting at school. Well, it's nothing, is it? The headmaster, headmistress, they can't do anything about it, and they show you films about how nice you must be to each other and how good you are to each other and all that. Well, in my day, the following evening, you were put in a boxing ring with a set of gloves, a pair of gloves, and whoever you were fighting with, you boxed it out. The headmaster was the judge, the referee, and when he dinged the bell, you started, and when he rung it again, you finished. And whoever he said won, won. You took your gloves off, you shook hands, and you walked home together. That was the end of it. There weren't any of this, put your arm around me and say I'm all right, or put your arm around him and say he's all right and all that. None of that nabby-pabby bullshit. So yeah, what's wrong with the kids of today? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with it's the age gap between 11 and 16, 17. You can blame video games if you like. You can blame all sorts. Blame the TV, video games, blame whatever you like. But there's something wrong. They don't understand what reality is. They don't understand that if you kill someone, they are no longer here. If you die, you are no longer here. You are gone. And what you leave behind is just so much grief. And it's just not fair on the people, the mums, the dads, the aunties, the sisters, the brothers. It's just not fair on those that you've either taken a life or you know somebody who's taken a life and you thought it was good. Rant over. But what's wrong with the kids of today? What's wrong with them? Tell me what your answers are down in the comments. I'd love to know what you think is the solution. I'd love to know what you think is the solution. I really would, because Well, if we don't talk about it, we won't get it resolved. And as parents and as adults, even though we're not, adults, but as adults and as parents, we need to discuss this thing, because whoever's in charge have got it seriously, seriously wrong. Seriously wrong. I'll leave it there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for your subscribing and thanks for your following. Like I said, the previous video about the dingies, them comments will be deleted because YouTube doesn't like it. So yeah, but you can delete on this. You can comment on this one. So comment, like, subscribe. Once you've seen it, do us a favour, put a like on it, because it goes through to the algorithms and then YouTube see it, and they're trying to close down little places like me. So let's keep our discussions going. Anyway, that'll be it, and I'll see you next time. Stay cool, guys, and get your sledges out. As far as I can tell, it's going to snow. See you later.